Haribol, welcome Kishori, welcome Sudevi. The Vyasa Sun, the Zoom Vyasa Sun is all yours.
Gurube Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namah Ajnana Dhasya Jnanandjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti-Vedanta Narayana Nityanamine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Umate Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Nityanamine Vancha Kalpatarubhyashta Kripa Sindhubhya eva ca Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasani Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Lankayate Giri Yatrapatamaham Pande Shri Gurum Vinakarinam. Dandava Pranam, all Vaishnavas. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to remember the beautiful pastimes, interactions, and glories and teachings of our Srila Gurudeva. Both of us were very fortunate to be able to come to our Srila Gurudeva in 1996 when he first traveled around the world. And at that time, he first stole Sudevi's heart and then told me that I should be strong like her and that I should follow her. And then he took my heart as well. So from that time, Srila Gurudeva was giving, I mean, since way before then, but to us from that time, he was giving so much beautiful, transcendental harikatha, and also so much beautiful tattva siddhanta to clarify all doubts. And really, we felt that within maybe 1 week of being with him and hearing from him, that so many different concepts that we had learned, so many different subject matters that we had been maybe contemplating or not even contemplating, he injected meaning into all of it. And I like to think of it like this. When I was young, I was 5 years old, I learned Brahma Samhita. And every day they would teach it to us. And so we learned all of the verses, but we didn't learn the meanings. And even if we did learn the meanings, it was only memorized. It wasn't with depth and with an understanding. Srila Gurudeva Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj, whenever he would have anyone tell a shlok, he would say, in your own words, what does it mean to you? So suddenly it was not allowed to be memorized anymore. It had to be felt. It had to be understood. It had to be processed and then represented in such a way that he was satisfied that we had some grasp of the subject matter.
Actually, on that note, one of the first things Srila Gurudeva asked me, I wasn't initiated yet, but it was one of the first classes. Actually, it was the first class I had ever heard. And Srila Gurudeva was speaking. And he had found out, or he had just known, that I had to quit my job and pretty much my whole society to even just be with him for a few days or an hour. So he was giving the class, and after he was done, he walked right up to me and he said, are you getting anything from our classes? Are you understanding something? And I said, yes, something. He said, good. Otherwise, you will think I am causing a peace. Meaning that I had left everything and I came to him and I'm not receiving anything. But he was very concerned. Are you understanding? Is anything coming from what I'm speaking? He wanted to make sure that, first of all, we weren't wasting our time, and definitely he wasn't wasting his time. So I just wanted to interject there. That was one of the very first lessons. Are you getting something? Means also, am I paying attention? Am I listening? And we also know that when Sri Guru speaks, it's not really about the language. He can be speaking Russian if we wanted to. He could speak any language. that sound vibration is transcendental, but it's me. Am I willing to accept what he's giving? Am I there with open ears and eyes, like astonishment? Look at sitting in front of me, and he's giving this time in this path, whether it's in Hindi, whether it's in Bengali, no matter what, sit there open and receive. So it was very beautiful as he was just speaking that. Just so you know, I'll interrupt.
I was just going to be interrupting her a lot. So I was telling that I was learning all of these Brahmasankita shlokas. I was reading so much. And even when I was in university, I was supposed to be studying the subject matters that I was learning, but instead I found myself in the university library and the spiritual book section reading Prabhupada's books. And I had read Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Instruction, and so many other books at that time. And when Srila Gurudev came, when I first heard him speaking in Seattle in 1996, I remember I was sitting there looking at him, watching. And I was just, seeing this face, Indian, well, beautiful, golden, glowing Indian sadhu with blue eyes. But I was just watching him like, what am I supposed to be getting from this person? If he's going to become my guru, Shastra says, Guru Mukha Padmavakya, Chitte Tekoriya. So what change is going to happen in my consciousness? And he was having Shyamarani Didi read from Srila Prabhupada's books. I believe it was Nectar of Instruction at that time. And that's the book that I had just read 3 times, but the explanations he was giving and the depth that he was entering into it with was so different than what I had read. And I was just asking this question, what is Guru? What is it I'm supposed to be getting from hearing from this person that I cannot get by reading on my own? And suddenly it hit me very heavily. I mean, it felt to me like hurricane force wind, just, it impacted me so heavily. I thought, my God, he's making it make sense. Mind you, I was a devotee from my birth, devotee. I was born in a family of devotees, raised in the temple environment, in Gurukul. My parents were very, very strong, you could say fanatical, diehard Hare Krishnas. When I was 7 years old, my mother told me, if I ever bloop for any reason, that means leave the path of bhakti, don't follow me, don't go, you stay with Krishna like this. So this kind of strong conviction, my father was very, always holding tight to the teachings of Srila Prabhupada and Shastra and our Guru Varga. And so they were really impressing these conceptions within us and also our Gurukul experience. And so, of course, growing up in such a situation, I thought I knew a lot. All of these different conceptions were coming into me. But sitting in front of Srila Gurudev, in one sentence, he said, here, when Swamiji is using the word when, here, he does not mean this, he means this. And then he would expand upon it. And I was going, oh my God, he's making it make sense. He's giving it depth. He's giving it meaning. And so for me, all of those verses, all of those tattvas, all of those ideas that I had learned, because they weren't really mine or processed. It was like a ritualistic kind of thing to do. I was learning them because I had to. Srila Gurudev was putting something into these, I'm going to use the word, empty pots. They were there. There was some foundation, but he was adding meaning, adding flavor, adding rus, and making it make sense. And literally within a few days to 1 week, we felt more full and more connected with more understanding and more depth than in our 20 years previously. And this is not saying that those who are the disciples of Srila Prabhupada could not have felt that, but because we did not have that personal connection to the pure devotee up until the time that we met our Srila Gurudev, because we did not have that personal connection with the pure devotee up until the time that we met our Srila Gurudev, although we had seen Srila Prabhupada many times and received cookies from his hand and been in Bhagavatam class. I don't remember if I was awake or sleeping, but I was 3, so it doesn't matter. I mean, one way or another. But we didn't have that personal connection. But Srila Gurudev was there with intention, giving us something. And it wasn't new. He was just showing, look, it's here. Look, it's there. Look, it's there. I'm not telling anything new. It's the same thing, but your eyes are not capable of seeing that. So I will show it to you. I will unlock it for you. And this is one of the most amazing revelations that I received from Srila Gurudeva, that he was revealing that through the medium of the pure devotee, not just through one's own study, can one actually understand a little bit of Shastra by their grace and by their mercy, and not just by my own reading or my own perusal. And so Srila Gurudeva had this special effect of presenting all tattvas, all siddhantas, and especially rasa. I just realized, honestly, just yesterday or today, just recently, that if I'm just reading, but I'm not listening to Gurudeva, and if I'm not watching Gurudeva and hearing Gurudeva, then I'm going to be full of tattva and siddhanta, but I will not get the rasa. How do I know that? Because Sudevi was telling me all these beautiful things that Gurudeva was saying, full of all the moods that Gurudeva was sharing. And I was feeling empty next to what she was sharing, because she was listening to Gurudeva, watching Gurudeva, hearing him. And I was reading and skipping through the tattva siddhanta aspects. But tattva does not melt the heart. The rasa does. And Srila Gurudeva was giving this very special injection, which he felt was so necessary. Our Srila Prabhupada, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, requested our Gurudev, not requested, beseeched, petitioned, made him promise me you will help my disciples. First he asked him, you sit on my bed. And Gurudev said he refused because of the level of Srila Prabhupada, so he took a chair next to his bed. But Prabhupada put both of his hands in Gurudev's hands and said, promise me you will help my disciples. And so Srila Gurudev, he had two stated missions for traveling outside of India, traveling the world. One was to go to all of those places where Srila Prabhupada put his lotus feet and offer his head in the dust of those places. And the other one was to, on the order of Srila Prabhupada, to endeavor to help the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, whether they wanted it or not. One time he said, Srila Prabhupada, well, we call him Swamiji, he ordered me to help his disciples. And some are saying, no, we don't want to. He said, so whose order should I follow? He's given me this order. Should I follow theirs or his? And then he said, anyhow, I must try. If they don't want it, then what can I do? But I must try to follow the order of my Shiksha Guru. So these were the two stated purposes of our Gurudev. And somehow, by great, great mercy, this massive net that he had cast taught us little crustaceans. When he was casting the net for the big fish, some little crustaceans got caught inside as well. And mercifully, he accepted us and then engaged us in his service. So on that note, I just wanted to ask Sudevi if she could elaborate on that point, because she was with Srila Gurudev when Srila Gurudev personally was exhibiting some of these moods about how the dust of the place where Srila Prabhupada went is a tirtha, or a holy place.
You know, before I get to that, there was something really beautiful. There's one lecture I was listening to. Srila Gurudev was saying, everywhere I look, everything I see Swamiji. I see him everywhere, every turn. There's a miracle. I see him everywhere. And I was thinking, you know, even growing up, where Srila Prabhupada was, Los Angeles was his headquarters. I never really saw him. I didn't see him anywhere. I didn't remember him everywhere. But here's Srila Gurudev saying, everywhere I go, I see him everywhere I look. And it really touched my heart. And yes, when he first came to Los Angeles in 1996, he wanted to go to all of the places where Srila Prabhupada had walked, had been, had given Bhagavatam class, where he had chanted japa, where he had slept. He wanted to go and to see those places. and touch the dust of those places. We know that anywhere a very high-class bhakta has gone, that is called a holy tirtha. That place is now spiritualized. It's transcendental. So all of the West has become actually spiritualized by our acharya. So one of the places that Srila Gurudev wanted to go was the Los Angeles temple. And we went there. And then after we had gone to that place, another place he wanted to go was Venice Beach. And we were walking along with Gurudev, and we were on the beach. And Venice Beach is not a very beautiful place. There's a lot of homeless people and a lot of drugs, a lot of gang members. It's just really dirty and smelly. It's not like, and lusty. It's just not a vacation spot, let's say. So we went there with Gurudev, and the only time I would really ever go to Venice Beach was when it was Rath Yatra, no other time. So there we are with Srila Gurudev, and we're walking with him, and we're walking on the sand. And Srila Gurudev just stopped and he said, "Did Swamiji walk here?" And the devotee said, "Yes, Srila." Gurudev said, "In this spot, right here?" And they said, "Yes, Gurudev, he walked right here." Gurudev said, "Oh, then it is a holy tirtha. All should offer Dandavat Pranam." And there I was in my silk saris, not knowing what to do. Like, So we offered our pranam. And then Gurudev started a kirtan. And he was doing Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. And everyone started dancing and doing kirtan. And Gurudev had his arms in the air. And all the devotees were circumambulating Gurudev doing kirtan. It was so beautiful. But that also was another lesson that I learned very early on. When he saw Srila Prabhupada's shoes, he immediately pointed to them in the LA temple. We went up to Srila Gurudev's room, to Srila Prabhupada's room, and he said, "Did Swamiji wear these?" They said, "Yes." And he looked at my friend Anuradha and I, and he said, "Immediately we should offer pranam." So we offered pranam and we touched that. And then they started to show all of the books, the original books that Srila Prabhupada had in the beginning, whether some that he brought from India and all the others that were sent. And Gurudev was looking at all of them and he said, "Oh, I sent these." Gurudev recognized what books he sent, how he was also helping Srila Prabhupada by sending books. And then Gurudev began to tell us about not only books, he also had to send him Mathura Pera. Srila Prabhupada loved that Mathura Pera, that sweet, it's like a condensed milk with a lot of cardamom. And it's so cooked down that it's not like burfi, soft and tender. It's almost dry. And Srila Prabhupada loved it. So Gurudev would not only send books, mridangas, anything he needed, deities, he also sent Mathura Pera. And so Gurudev was telling us all of this sweetness about Srila Prabhupada. And it struck me very deeply then, because I always felt that I loved Prabhupada so much, that he's mine and I'm his. And seeing Srila Gurudev, watching him go to those places where Srila Prabhupada went, that I was complacent in. He was offering his pranam. He was in so much reverence and with so much intimacy and affection. And then he went to Srila Prabhupada's garden. And in his garden, he said, "Swamiji didn't feel him so much in the temple." He said this. He said, somewhat in his room, I felt something. And then when he was in Srila Prabhupada's garden, he said, "Swamiji." And later on, I found out that it was one devotee, Karma, who was very, very favorable and loved Srila Gurudev. He was caring for that garden. And I thought, oh, Guru Tattva was respected and honored and loved. And that Vaishnava who was doing seva, and Prabhupada was there. Not that it wasn't in anywhere else, but Gurudev felt something there. And one other thing I wanted to say, because Kishori Mohan Prabhu was speaking about how Gurudev was so, like, he didn't let us do things as like a ritual. And even though we went through the motion of learning things, of understanding some tattva siddhanta, he wanted to give us so much of us. He wanted to give us some mood, because without mood, without attachment, we won't attain our goal. He would say that we can follow Ekadashi, we could chant lakhs and lakhs of Harinam, but without an intention, without some bandha relationship, what will we actually attain? So we have to have some mood connected to what we are doing. Everything that we had done, at least I'm speaking for us, because we've had conversations many times, everything we were doing was external. And for even some of it, I would say that even with Srila Gurudeva, a lot was external. Oh, I'm preaching on behalf of Gurudev, but am I really meditating, remembering, and seeing that this is Gurudev? That Gurudev is doing everything, and I'm just like one of his hands moving here and there where he is placing me. I'm the doer, I'm doing everything external. But what was going on internally? So we were doing so many of the rituals, so many of the external aspects of bhakti, getting up for Mangalarti since we were born, getting up really early, going to the temple to Mangalarti, then going back, cleaning the ashram, then there's japa time, then there's greeting of the deities, then we have breakfast, then school, then Bhagavatam class, then breakfast, then school, then Bhagavad Gita class. We had such a rigid schedule, and we were learning, and so much was coming in, and there were impressions for sure. But where was my heart? My heart wasn't where Srila Prabhupada was speaking. I found that out quite prominently. But where was my heart? Where was my mind? And even growing up, I just did things. So one of the very first things that Srila Gurudeva taught me was that you must be connected somehow by what we are doing. We shouldn't just do ritualistic activities. He said our Goswamis did not give us ritualistic activities to waste our time. Time is so short already in Kali Yuga. We know that lives are short, intelligence is very, very less. So what do we have? We don't have time. We can go in the next moment. So our gurus, our acharyas have not done anything to hoodwink us. They haven't done anything to bamboozle us, to make us kind of quizzical and wonder, should I do this or should I do that? Everything, in essence, is to catapult us on the path of bhakti quickly. Don't waste this golden opportunity. Don't waste this rare human form of life. Don't do ritualistic activity. Don't just sit in class and think of anything else. Be present. Be very, very clear on what our intention is and what we are doing if we want to connect to. So one of the first things Srila Gurudeva said to me, he knew I was a Guru Puri. So a little bit of pride that, oh, I've known Krishna my whole life. So I have some arrogance at all. Yeah, I didn't have to learn anything. I all knew Krishna from birth. So Gurudev looked at me. So you have been doing art for Krishna your whole life. I said, yes, Gurudev, my whole life. He said, why? Why are you doing it? And I said, because it's auspicious. And Gurudev said, yeah. But why?
That sound cut out because what?
Sorry.
What?
You said because and then the sound cut out.
Because it's auspicious.
Oh.
Ishwaranandan, Prabhu. So 1 second.
We're not used to technical speaking.
Not that. It's can you like raise your hand and do that to us because we have the volume off. Yeah, when you need to get our attention. Thank you. All right.
Oh, you mean when I want to say something, you want me to raise my hand?
I just have to hear what you just said. What did you say?
You're asking me if I want to say something to wave my hand.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Are there any questions?
Not yet. Well, there will be maybe one from me, but it depends what you're going to say next. So.
Okay. So you said?
So I said, because it's auspicious. And Srila Gurudev said, yes, but why? Why are you doing it? And I couldn't really think of a good reason. And he said, oh, you're waving fire in Krishna's face. Like that? I don't know. He said, would you like it if I waved fire in your face?
Wow.
I said, no. He said, then why are you doing it to Krishna? Why are you doing it to Thakurji? He said, I don't know. He said, we should always know why we are doing anything on the path of Prabhu. And then he looked out the window, and it was about this time right now. For us, it's about 6:30, 7 o'clock. So he looked out the window and said, oh, just now, Krishna is coming home from grazing the cow. He has been out all day long playing with his sakhas. And as he's coming home at this time, he said the dust is rising up in the atmosphere from millions and millions of sakhas and cows coming home. Yashoda Maya, she's going to the courtyard and looking, where is my Lala? Where is my Lala? Looking for Krishna. She doesn't see him. So Gurudev said she takes agarbatti, she takes incense, and in the direction of that dust rising, she's offering it to Narayan. Oh Narayan, please protect my Lala, please protect Krishna. Then Krishna comes, and immediately he runs into the arms of Mother Yashoda. At that time, she holds him, but then pulls him away quickly because she knows he's been playing with his sakhas all day, and there may be so many scratches and bite marks on his body from playing. So she takes one ghee lamp. Gurudev called it Prem Prati, the lamp of sweet love and affection. And very carefully, Gurudev said, not counting circles, she starts to go over his whole body with so much love, affection, very slowly and carefully. He said, the next thing that we offer is water. He said, but what is she offering? He said, her heart is melting. And because of that melted heart, tears are coming from her eyes, and automatically milk is flowing from her breast. And that is bathing Krishna, bathing rain. He said, we have given our tears to every material thing in this world. And when we look, we have no tears left to offer Krishna. So we take shelter of that water. And in the name of my tears, I'm offering that to you. I'm doing snan to you. I'm bathing in my tears. He said, Krishna is so deep-hearted. He will understand everything of your heart and accept it like that. Then she takes her dupata, because the next thing is the cloth. She takes her own cloth and she wipes his body down. And then he said the next thing she offers is some scent, some beautiful fragrance. He said, we take flowers and we offer them to Guru and Krishna. And Gurudev said, what will they do with them? What will Krishna and Guru do with flowers? Do they need them? They don't need them. He said, what we are really doing is that we want to offer our very heart, our atmas. He said, so in the place of my heart, I'm taking shelter of something so soft, so fragrant, so sweet and pure. And in the name of my atma, in the name of my heart, I'm offering it to you. So then Srila Gurudev sat back and he said, so you have been chanting Harinam your whole life. And with a lot less arrogance and pride, I said, oh yes, Gurudev. He said, has anything come from your chanting of Harinam? Has anything come? And I said, no. Later I should have said, yes, you, Gurudev. But I said, no. And he said, why not? He said, this is Maha Mantra. It's capable of giving anything, everything you desire, and nothing is coming. I said, no. And then Srila Gurudev began to explain what is sambandha, relationship. Before I tell the next thing, Yashodanandan, did you want to ask a question?
You covered it. You, Sudevi.
Wait a second. Hold on.
I pushed two at the same time in terms of photo.
Okay, now say it.
Yeah, I think you covered it, except I thought it was with the chamra, not the fire, but you covered it completely.
That's how Gurudev told it to me.
Gurudev has told many different things about Arti. With the chamra, he said that the chamra, especially when you read Vilakus Manjali, there's so much mood there. And also Gurudev has given the example of Daruka, the charioteer of Krishna in Dwarka. He said that once Daruka was fanning Krishna with the chamra while Sri Krishna was taking his afternoon nap. And as Daruka was fanning Krishna with the chamra, he was feeling that every hair in the chamra was his own pran, his own life's breath. And with that, he was completely offering itself, meaning his own life to Krishna. With that meditation, offering that to Krishna, he saw that the breeze from the chamra was touching the cloth of Krishna, and his pitambar began to just move slightly. And at that moment, he felt that his own life, his pran was touching Krishna, like his life was fanning Krishna, but now it was touching him, embracing him. And in a mood of ecstasy, he dropped the chamra, fell flat and fainted. And then he got up again and he began to curse his ecstasy. Damn this ecstasy that has stopped me from serving the Lord of my life. Gurudev has also told me something about how the gopis do arti. But this is another subject. I was giving the mood that he gave at the very beginning. And then he began to speak about sambandha gyan, means relationship. Having not only relationship with Gurudev, but to everything we're doing. So he was showing me in this beautiful mood of Mother Yashoda, how I can approach Krishna, that I can have some kind of meditation, not just counting the circles, doing what is archan, what is rules and regulations, but along with that, I should be clean. I should be able to understand how to do worship with Thakurji. But in that, there should be some meditation, some mood, and some relationship with what I am doing. Otherwise, it is like a ritualistic activity.
He specifically told, don't. But he said not to tell anybody.
Okay.
He told her not to read the Archan Deepika book. Why?
He said you're not a full-time pujari. He said that is for full-time pujaris, and if you start worshiping Thakurji like that, then you will have to keep that standard throughout. So when he gave me Thakurji, he said they should be like family members. You should treat them like family members. As you eat, they should. So he was saying that we shouldn't get caught up in doing too much out of excitement for having Thakurji in our lives.
I'm just showing Thakurji. It's Shri Shri Radha Vinobi Hari Ju Sachinandan Gaura Hari Jai. I was just, yeah.
So he was saying that you should treat them like family members. So not that we all eat together, of course there's a standard, but he didn't want that I got caught up in all the ritualistic activities, doing the snaps and all the mudras and all. This is for somebody who's in a mandir. I'm in a house. I'm traveling the world. I'm doing so many things. So he said, he told me that even after you leave this body, you are still responsible for their seva. That is what it entails to have Thakurji in your life. It is not a light thing. But at the same time, he wanted to treat them like our family, that we worship them with love. Also, he said, when you travel, he said you should keep some dried fruits and nuts in your pocket so that you can feed them. They shouldn't go hungry. So we would always, in the airport, we would have them and we would open up their suitcase to do an offering to them because they're there. they need to be worshipped and cared for. So on to some, oh yeah.
Just wanted to add that Srila Gurudeva would quite often tell how if someone is so absorbed in just following the rituals, counting 3 circles here, 4 circles there, another 3 to the whole, and counting so many circles, he said Krishna will start to get tired and think, it's time for me to play. I'm hungry. I want to go. And he said Krishna will leave and he will be long gone and you will still be counting your circles. And Gurudev was laughing. And one time he said, oh, and sometimes the person who's doing the Chamara Seva, they're swinging it and spinning it and bending like this. He said, like they're doing exercise. And Krishna will become afraid. Oh, they might drop it and it will hit me. So Krishna will also run away from there. So Gurudev used to laugh and mock this idea of just doing something as an empty ritual. One of his greatest contributions is just this, that everything should be injected with intention, with mood, with bhav, and with sambandha, with relationship, so that it will actually bring about a mood of love and affection and mamata, possessiveness, not just doing something as a ritual or doing something out of fear because I have to or because I'm supposed to. But Srila Gurudev really was representing what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give. Raga Marga Bhakti Loke Korite Prachara. It's not that Gurudev didn't want us to follow the rules and regulations. He was extremely strict, but he knew that just following rules and regulations, this will not melt the heart. So he wanted to inspire within all of us some greed, some intense greedy desire to want to love or serve Krishna with love and affection. And that he was doing through his Harikatha and through his own moods of love and affection and spontaneous moods of possessiveness and service to Krishna.
So for those devotees that join us every night on our Facebook Live thing, you heard this the other night, but this is the same thing he told to me. So I'm going to tell it again. We talked about how that one devotee in Fiji came over the ocean and came to meet Gurudev, and Gurudev gave this lesson. So this is the same lesson. Srila Gurudev said once there was a man, and he was to have an arranged marriage. He had never before seen this bride. Only on the day of their marriage, he saw her for the first time. 3 months into their marriage, this new bride became very sick. And so the new husband began to take her to all kinds of doctors to help her become well. No one could cure her. After some time, he had to stay home so he could care for her. And because he wasn't working and he was caring for his wife, he became like a beggar. He was in the streets and he was begging, please help me, help me. My wife is going to die. Please help me, help me. Gurudev said 3 months previously, this girl could have died and it wouldn't have mattered anything to him. He wouldn't have known it. But only after 3 months of marriage, because there is relationship there, he is willing to become a beggar in the street for her. He said, so when you have this kind of relationship with Harinam Prabhu, when you have this kind of relationship with Guru, then you will be willing to become a beggar in the street for them. And this is sambandha. This is relationship. It's only 3 months, but now he's a beggar. So we see the devotees that came to Srila Prabhupada, within a week or two, they were out distributing books on the streets, chanting and dancing and begging others, please chant and remember Krishna, doing anything they could to please their holy master, because relationship was there. And that relationship becomes more and more and more thick the more we serve, the more we are doing it with an intention to please our beloved. So that was the very first kind of lesson that I learned in not doing ritualistic activities, was that when I'm doing arti, which is something we do 3 times a day, it should not just be making rounds with fire. How do we hear that we should treat others how we like to be treated, but we never think of the Lord like that, do we? We just think, oh, I've given them a morning apple or something. So now I'm going to go cook a meal for myself and my family. And we don't think that meal should be first and foremost thought out for them. But actually we're doing something for ourselves and giving the Lord our remnant. Once Srila Gurudev said that, he said, if you are doing all kinds of cooking and thinking, oh, I'll make this, the kids will like it, my husband will like this, oh, my family members. He said, this is giving your remnants to Krishna. He actually was saying that when we are young, we just want to run around and enjoy everything. We eat everything. We don't think of the consequence. I'm a very knower of that truth. We don't think of the consequences. We just eat and take and taste everything. We go and we utilize our energy in any kind of pursuit that suits our whim at the time. And then Srila Gurudev said, and then when we're old, when we don't have any more teeth, so we can't even chew our food, we're just drinking smoothies and soup through straws. Our hair is falling out. We can no longer digest those heavy meals. We no longer have energy to go here and there. At that time, we throw our arms in the air and say, oh, Krishna, I'm yours, I'm yours, I'm yours. He said, Krishna doesn't want your remnant. He said, this is giving your remnants to Krishna, utilizing this body, your youth, your energy for your own satisfaction. And then when you're done with that, when you can no longer do that, you offer what's left over to Krishna. Right. And then Gurudev stopped and he said, Krishna wants it young and fresh. And everyone was like, oh. And then Srila Gurudev was explaining also about cooking. If we're cooking with that intention to please ourselves and our family members, then this is also giving the remnants to Krishna. How can Krishna accept that? Krishna can't. We know that he is so greedy that in Vrindavan he has become a thief. He is Ishwar, Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha, Anadi. He is the topmost supreme personality of Godhead. And yet, he's a thief in Vrindavan. Because what the Brajavasis are churning for him are their own hearts. And Krishna is so greedy to take and taste all of that. But us, if we're cooking for ourselves and our family members and our material situation, and as an afterthought, offer that to Krishna. Gurudev said, Krishna doesn't want that. How can he? He's the God of neediness, of love, and reciprocating love and affection. He doesn't want ritualistic, oh, now take the sin out of it. Gurudev said, Narayan will do that. Lord Narayan is happy to remove the sin and give you that kind of prasad, but not Krishna. He said, Krishna will hear you ringing the bell, and he will know that it wasn't being made or even offered with love and affection. It's just what you have to do so that you're not eating sin. So Krishna will hear the bell, Gurudev said, and he will call Narayan. Oh, Narayan, someone somewhere is ringing a bell. You should go and accept that offering and remove that sin, the pop, and make it prasad. And Narayan will happily go and do that, but not Krishna. So Gurudev said, when you're cooking and doing all those types of things for your satisfaction and for your family members, and then you offer it to Krishna, you should know that you're doing Didi Narayan. Actually, you're not calling Radha and Krishna the embodiments of pure love and affection and ananda. How can they accept our leftovers, what we've already offered to others, and then offer to them as an afterthought? Oh, I should give this to you. But rather, everything should be turned around. From the moment of going to the supermarket, as we're picking anything, oh, Radha and Krishna will like this. Oh, there are pomegranates. And remembering how Srimati Radhika is teaching her Shruka how to say the names of Krishna and giving pomegranate seeds, taking that kind of an offering and with love and affection offering it to Srimati Radhika and Krishna. Oh, may this bring about a remembrance of your love and affection. Oh, Radha Krishna Gurukulaminat, may you auspiciously always be brought together like this. Then Krishna will be attracted to that offering, and what we will get will truly and really be Maha Prasad. So these were the main things that were really impressed upon us when we came in contact with Srila Gurudev. It was like, oh, we don't just sit around and do the external things. This is very, very deep. This is something that must go to the core of our hearts. Bhakti is not ritualistic. You can do Gyan, you can do even Sharanagati, which is accepting, rejecting, doing all these external things. But bhakti is the matter of the heart. And there may be ritualistic activities that should be done, but they should be done with that mood of affection to the Lord of our lives. But first and foremost, to our Gurudev. Our Gurudev, who is Krishna Kripa Shri Murti. He is Krishna, who has come in the form of our Gurudev. Paramatma has heard our sincere crying since time immemorial, going through repetitions of birth, disease, old age, and death, again and again and again, being born, and dying. And finally, there was a sincere crying of heart. Paramatma heard that. Krishna heard that prayer and stepped out of our heart in the form of Sri Guru. So first and foremost, all of our endeavor falls at the feet of Sri Gurudev. How can I serve you? How can I make you pleased with me? How can I love Krishna? Srila Gurudeva Swami Maharaj, he said that everything Sri Guru is telling you, everything Gurudev is saying, all in his Harikatha, all of the instructions that Sri Guru is giving you, you should know that he is the mouthpiece of Krishna for you in your life. Everything that Krishna wants you to know, he is telling through Sri Gurudev. So how necessary is Sri Guru in our life? How we must adhere to his teachings, his moods, his words, his conceptions, and be loyal to that. We can never have proper sambandha with Radha and Krishna if we don't have a proper guru-disciple relationship. And that platform of that relationship is loyalty.
I want to keep hearing. Srila Gurudev said,
We can ask if there are any questions. Any questions?
if you raise your hand, then we'll know. Srila Gurudev said that that is what Guru wants from his disciple. It's loyalty. And that's an easy thing to have for some, for the simple, and a very difficult thing to have for those who are complex or complicated. Simple loyalty. And with that, Sri Gurudev can work. But what is loyalty? This is my father. Gayatri is my mother. The conceptions, the moods that they have taught me, I will follow them as he has given them. And I will represent them faithfully and honestly as he has given to me. And we saw that our Gurudev did this for his Gurudev. His Gurudev did that for his Gurudev. His Gurudev did that for his, and so forth. So this is the moods. These are the moods that Srila Gurudev taught. In fact, he said he wanted that before he departed this world, that all of his disciples would come to the platform of Guru Nishtha. But this is a very big subject. I wanted to go back a little bit to before I met Srila Gurudev, because we knew each other from when we were 4 years old. We grew up on the same street. And when her friends were being mean to her, I was the little kid saying, hey, why are you being mean? And I was defending her. And growing up in that beautiful society with all of the beautiful festivals, every day was a festival. Every day was beautiful, especially when the Rath Yatra festival would come. Janmashtami. I mean, they would close off the public street and we would have stages in the middle of the street.
The funnest thing for a kid to do when you're not allowed to go in the street is to lay down in the middle of the street and watch dramas.
They would lay carpets all down the road and we would just roll across the road without fear of cars. And Rath Yatra festival, and every morning during greeting of the Didis, went dun 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 dun. Doors open, the what smoke was that? Frankincense would billow out, and then Thakurji would manifest, and it was just awesome, awe-striking, amazing. Yes, we were awestruck by this every single day. But as we grew up and became a little older, We, of course, maybe due to so many different reasons, but lost some enthusiasm. We didn't lose enthusiasm for Kirtan, and we didn't lose enthusiasm for Prashadam. But we lost enthusiasm for the same class that was being told every single time by every single person every day. And so on the Sunday programs, a bunch of us friends would get together. If the speaker went over 20 minutes, we would all sit in lines for Prashadam while he was speaking. And then they would end quickly. Then we'd all have our Prashadam, and then we'd have a date and go to the movies. And so this is what we would do regularly. And so we had our own rituals. You know, we'd come together for Kirtan, and somebody would look at us and say, oh my God, did you see Thakurji or the DJs? Did you see them dancing in the Kirtan? Did you see their eyes moving? And so there was a lot of this kind of sentiment, but there wasn't anything concrete about it. And also we thought we knew a lot because, well, we were raised with it. And most of us could kind of run circles around a lot of others who weren't raised with it. And so there was a very haughty kind of arrogance that came with it. Like, why should I bow down to this person? Why should I do that? Why should I do that? And so 1996 came along, and I wanted to go to Mayapur for the ISKCON Parikrama. I had a necessity of $200 extra, which I didn't have, but I had most of the money for the ticket. So I asked my father, can I have another $100 to go? He said, what's it for? I said, I need to go to India. He said, on one condition. I said, I think I asked him for 200. He said, on one condition, when you go there, you go to see Srila Puri Maharaj, Bhakti Puri Maharaj, offer your pranam to him and hear from him, and Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, offer your pranam to him and hear from him. And I'm like, sure, I can do that, no problem. I had no intention of following through. He gave me $300 just to seal the deal. I purchased my ticket, I went to the parikrama, everything was beautiful and wonderful, and I became sick with typhoid or something. I was so knocked out, I was sick as a dog. And at that time, I couldn't go at all on any of the parikramas that the ISKCON parikrama was doing. Out of the blue, this one boy named Krishnadas shows up. He was about 15 years old. I'd never met him before, never seen him before, and I never saw him or heard from him again after these experiences. Only recently a photo came, which proved to me that I wasn't just dreaming. So this Krishnadas comes to me, and I'm sick as almost dead inside my tent. And he's like, do you have room in your tent? I need a place to stay. I said, I'm really sick, so I don't know if you want to be here, but sure, if you need a place to keep your stuff. So he came and he put his stuff and said, okay, I'm going for parikrama. And then 5 minutes later, he returned and said, since you have nothing else to do, why don't you read this? And he gave me a book from Srila Gurudeva Maharaj called Sri Guru Bandana. And the writing was really big. And I thought, why not? I've got nothing else to do. That was the first bhakti book that I read cover to cover. I was 96, 22 years old. So I was lying there and I just read the book cover to cover. The next day he said, you know, if you want, I can get us in to see Srila Bhakti Puri Maharaj and Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj. And I thought, hey, my father made me promise that I would do that, and I completely forgot and had no intention of following through. This boy is just offering it like this, out of nowhere, randomly, to get me in to see these two persons that my father made me promise to see. So I didn't put two and two together at that time, that this is maybe something a little bit more of a, maybe, and so he arranged the next day for 2 rickshaws. And there were 3 or 4 Gurukul girls and myself and him. So we had one rickshaw, they had the other rickshaw. And he brought us to go see Srila Bhakti Puri Maharaj, who was not available at the time. So he brought us on the boat across the Ganga, and we went to go see Srila Gurudeva, Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. When we went up the stairs and we went to see him, we all offered our pranam. And Gurudev's first question, his question was, do you have any questions? And I was like, yeah. And he said, like this? And I said, why are they telling us that we should not come and see you? Because I was fond of him. I had been listening to his kirtans on cassette while I was doing my service in the temple. And I always thought, this is real kirtan. I want to learn kirtan from this person. But then came some politics. And are they telling us we shouldn't come and see you? And he said, oh, that is because when the devotees come to see me, when they hear the Harikatha that I'm telling, they find it to be so sweet that they don't want to leave. He said, so some are somewhat sore, like sour, that the people who come to hear me, they don't want to return. And I just felt how refreshing, how fresh, how simple. It wasn't a big, complicated, tattvic, reasoning for anything. He just gave a very simple explanation that made a lot of sense to my heart. And then he gave his question. He said, I have a question too. And of course, none of us were used to being asked questions too. But anyhow, we knew everything, so why not? His question was, what is the reason for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance in this world? I was like, And I was number 4th in the line. I was 4 in the line. So the girls went before us. So 3 girls and then me and then this other boy, Krishnadas. So the first girl answered. She said to spread Harinam Sankirtan. He said, yes. Anything more? She was stumped. The next girl said to give Krishna prem. Gurudev said, yes. Anything more? The next girl said to give Krishna prem and Harinam Sankirtan. Gurudev said, anything more? And then he looked at me. And I said, to give Krishna prem and Harinam Sankirtan, because that's all I knew. Basically what number 1, number 2, and number 3 said, I just kind of twisted it around the other way and repeated it back. And Gurudev said, anything more? And I was completely stumped. And I thought, I know so much. How come I don't know this? And at that moment, I was completely stumped. Then it came to this new boy who had only been a devotee for less than 2 years, Krishnadas. And he asked him. And this devotee, Krishnadas, had been associating with a pure devotee, Srila Gurudeva Maharaj. And what did he respond? To taste the moods of Srimati Radharani. And Gurudev said, yes. And then he didn't talk to him or the girls. Gurudev looked straight at me and did that thing, the blue eyes piercing right into your soul, ripping your heart apart and just reading your entire life and making you realize that you know nothing. That one. He just stared at me and said, if you do not know all of these truths, how can you preach? And at that moment, I realized I don't know anything. I don't even know who Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is. I thought he was like a Vaishnava saint or something, maybe a Shakti manifestation of God, but I didn't really have any. I had been a devotee for 22 years. I was not a devotee. I was not anything. I didn't know anything. And at that moment, I realized I'm a pea on the floor and I can learn from this person. So he extracted from my heart a mood of appreciation, submissiveness, willingness to learn. And also I offered to him that if any of my friends have any questions, then I can also bring them to you for help. And so Srila Gurudeva inspired that mood in my heart right from the beginning, that I don't know anything and that I need to learn from you. And for me, it was a big deal because I had always had this idea that when I grow up, that I would be traveling and with my wife, whoever that would have been. I didn't even know it was going to be her at the time. That I would be traveling and I would be preaching. And Gurudev knew what was in my heart. And he just popped that bubble of ego and pride that, so what? You think you know so many verses and this and that. You don't know anything. You don't know who Mahaprabhu is. If you don't even know these basic things, how can you preach? And so from that time, Gurudev started instructing. And this was 96 before he went traveling to the rest of the world. So, but from that time, he inspired that mood in my heart. Interestingly enough, that year when I came to India, I had asked Sudevi, because we were already married at that time. That time her name was Saraswati. I asked her, is there anything you want or need from India? And she said, no. just a picture of Narayana Maharaj. So, okay. So Gurudev, we were just about to leave, and I looked at Gurudev and I said, can I take your picture? And he said, why do you want to capture me in your black box? And I was just take a picture. Okay. So I took a picture of him on the balcony, just next to the door of Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj, who I believe I saw at that time because I offered pranam to him before we left. But anyhow, Srila Gurudev inspired something at that time. And then that same year, he traveled to the West for the first time, going to Holland and then England, New York, and then Los Angeles, or Houston, Los Angeles, and then up the West Coast. So this kind of interaction for me was extremely important because he called out and questioned me on my ritualistic nature. It wasn't just me, it was everyone. We would come together, we would do kirtan, we had everything set up and everything was nice and rigid, but it may have been that the heart for the depth, the search, the sadhana was not there. And Gurudev inspired in all of us to do that search. He would say that bhakti is not a stagnant thing. Bhakti is flowing. And if you try to take some bucket of water out of the river of bhakti and keep it to the side and say, now I have captured bhakti, he said, what happens to water when you take it out of the river and let it sit? It begins to stagnate. He said, so bhakti is not like that. Bhakti is a constant, steady flow. Instead of taking the bucket out and thinking, I have captured it, rather we should enter into that flow. And how to enter into that flow was the subject matter of all of Gurudev's Harikatha. Would you like to add? Oh my God, it's after 6.
First question, are there any questions? Second question, how much longer do we have?
There are questions, but I think they're better for the end because I want them to rhyme and flow with what you're saying. So that's why I'm not asking them. In terms of time,
is the end?
we normally go to at least say 2 o'clock, so another 23 minutes, a bit more if you want.
Okay.
How long would you like to speak for?
So what?
How long would you like to speak for?
As long as you'd like to engage us.
Another half an hour would be beautiful. This is great. Can I add one thing? Can I make one point?
Please, please.
I was thinking when you were talking about intent, the importance of having intention behind everything we do, rather than being ritualistic. Sometimes when we're very, very at the beginning of our bhakti, so like when we're explaining it to someone else who's coming in, or sometimes when we become disconnected in ourselves, sometimes we lose relationship. I always go back to very simple things like, for example, just really silly little things like if I'm making a cup of tea for my mother, I know she likes to have a little bit of a piece of chocolate. So I don't just throw it together. I put it on a nice little tray and arrange it everything with the mug, with the teapot, and everything's in its place. And as I'm doing it with intent, it enlivens my heart because I know she'll be pleased. And then her pleasure, her future pleasure, which hasn't manifested yet, is already manifesting in my heart because I'm creating that intention. And if we remember these little things, because we know that the material world is I like to say distorted reflection rather than perverted reflection of the spiritual world. And then we then take that and apply that to the biggest relationship that we have ontologically, that is to the Lord. We then become reconnected through our emotional experiences here. We can reconnect ourselves to the transcendental relationships there.
You know, I noticed that whenever we do anything with a conscious intention, we actually can't help but care about it. You know, like I remember one time, Sripad Madhav Maharaj, I was in the kitchen, not helping him cook. He allowed me in his kitchen while he was serving Gurudev. And I was in there doing everything with him, and I didn't get in trouble once. miracle. So I'm there and I'm cutting everything and I'm really excited. I'm cooking Gurudev with Madhav Maharaj. Actually, he was Naveen Krishna Prabhu at the time. So we're doing it. And then everything is done. And Gurudev, or Naveen Krishna Prabhu, he's showing me, okay, now we're going to serve Gurudev. So he said, so get everything and put it on Gurudev's plate. So we're serving Gurudev and he goes, get rice. So I went to the rice and I just went to dig in. You know, you just get a good scoop of rice and slop it on. And he started screaming, Sudevi, what are you doing? Stop, stop. I was like, what? It's just rice. I'm putting it in the bowl. And he was like, no, not like this. And then he started scraping off the rice in such a way that not one grain was broken. It was so beautiful and fluffy. And he put it in the bowl and then he turned it upside down and put it on Gurudev's plate because he lifted the bowl up. And there it was just this beautiful little mound of rice with every grain pristine. And I was just looking at him like, oh, of course. I mean, that should have been natural for me, you know, to try to do everything with that intention. What will be beautiful? What will be pleasing? What will his heart feel at that time? Vrindavan, just bear with us. It will.
No, this should bring about a nice mood, right? Because it's Vrindavan. So just remember, we're all in Vrindavan together.
But that was such a lesson for me that he did that. It was like, no, that's not how you serve your guru. You serve him with so much intention and love and affection. And it really made my own kitchen seva very different. Like even Kishori Mohan, when he does the morning offering, he always makes it look so beautiful. And sometimes he makes a little happy face with everything. He does these beautiful things for Thakurji, and it always reminds me of that. We should have this seva mood. One time Srila Gurudev, he was speaking and he kept kind of choking and coughing. And I always have throat sweets, always. It's just something a singer does. So I always had them with me and I was sitting really close to Gurudev. And so I just thought maybe he wants a Ricola. So I grabbed a Ricola from my things and I just held it to Gurudev. I'm like, Gurudev, Ricola. So I'm handing it to Gurudev and Gurudev just, he looked at it and he picked it up and he was just staring at it. And then he looked at me and I understood, you know, I hadn't completed my seva. I grabbed it back from him. I opened it and I handed it and he immediately took it and popped it in his mouth. So he was even then showing me my intention was good. I wanted to serve Gurudev something I knew might help him. But even my service mood wasn't complete. I didn't understand I should go all the way with my seva, not halfway. Just like when we surrender to Gurudev, we're keeping one foot in our house with all of our stuff and our saris and our lipstick and all of those things, or whatever material attachments we have, and one foot in the spiritual boat. Oh, Gurudev, I'm yours, but we're holding back. So even in that, he did show me, no, if you're going to offer something from your heart, then do it all the way. Don't just stop halfway. So even giving him a throat sweet, a Ricola, I realized I didn't actually perform the full seva. My intention was good, but the execution was completely lost. I forgot how to serve. But one thing I wanted to...
You'll be pleased to know I've surrendered my lipstick, Sudevi.
Oh, one sec. We have to turn you up.
Oh. Oh, don't worry. It was...
Wait. Okay, now.
Sorry, it was a mundane comment. I was just saying, you'll be pleased to know I've surrendered my lipstick.
That's all you have to say.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say on behalf of all of us, we're so happy to hear that.
Congratulations.
You with lipstick, it would be a little bit questionable. Actually, once in South Africa, we were with Srila Gurudeva, and Gurudev was speaking about the symptoms of Kali Yuga. And he was talking about being judged by your hairs.
There were like 500 people occupying the entire auditorium.
And we
were on this massive stage together with Gurudev.
And he was talking about all of these symptoms of Kali Yuga. And then he kind of glanced toward me. You know, I'm looking at Gurudev and I'm so excited. And he says, and they will wear lipstick. And he looked right at me. And I was like, oh, Gurudev, like, that's just too far. I was thinking, even like really at that time, sitting in front of him going, Gurudev, I've given up having a home. I've given up having children. He told us don't have children. I wanted like a football team, at least in my head. I wanted a football team of children. I wanted tons of kids. And he said, don't do this. I don't want you to have children in this life. So I'm thinking, I gave up this. I don't have anything. I have 2 suitcases, very limited on my clothes. Lipstick? That's too far. That's just too far. Don't go there. But you know what? The amazing thing about Srila Gurudev was that he accepted us where we are with what we could give. He would always try to push us, go further, do a little more. Come on, I know you can do it. Don't be hopeless. Don't be weak. Come on, come on. Like that, he would be like that with us. But at the same time, he would understand, you know, we have our anarthas, we have our unwanted acquired things that are not so easy to be rid of. I know I've told this story, but I'm going to tell it again. This is my biggest anartha. So I want to show you how Gurudev is so kind. This isn't what I was going to tell, but I've reverted to this.
But remember the point.
It wasn't a point, it was a new category. So one time when we were in Fiji, we were sitting with Srila Gurudev and he was giving a beautiful darshan. And Gurudev had already awarded me the seva of Sri Sri Radha Vinod Bihari Ji. But he gave me permission to go and have Gauranga made. And he even instructed me, you can tell the Thakur Wala how you want him to be, what size and everything. And then he said, but let the Lord come as he chooses. Don't try to micromanage how he appears, because then it will be a material thing. Let him come. So then Mahaprabhu manifested, and I brought him to Fiji, where we met Gurudev. From Vrindavan, he went to Australia, then Fiji. So in the Fiji Islands, I had Mahaprabhu, and he wasn't installed yet. After. We'll give a darshan after. So there I was in this beautiful assembly, and Gurudev was sitting there. He just finished talking to so many, and he was just speaking to the devotees. And I was quite close to him, and Kishori Mahaprabhu was somewhat back. And I said, Srila Gurudev? He said, yes. I said, will you do pran pratishtha of my Mahaprabhu? Gurudev said, what will you give me? I said, what do I have? I don't have anything. And I actually said, I have only 2 suitcases. And he just kind of shook his head like, no, not impressive. So then he started talking to other devotees. And I was like, Gurudev, will you do pran pratishtha of my Mahaprabhu? He said, what will you give me? And I was like, I don't know. And he said, will you give me Kishori Mohan Prabhu? Sitting in the back. Will you give me Kishori Mohan Prabhu? And I kind of went, oh. He said, I will give him sannyas. Would you like that? And I thought I was very clever. And I said, oh, Gurudev, I will always try to like everything you do. And again, Gurudev was like, anyway. So he started talking to other devotees. And I was like, what's happening? So then Srila Gurudev was finished. He got up and he started walking toward his room. And Kishori Mahaprabhu and I were right behind him. At that point, we were together. And I said, Srila Gurudev, will you do pran pratishtha of Mahaprabhu? And Gurudev spun around and he pointed to Kishori Mohan. He said, do you want Prabhu or Mahaprabhu? I started shaking. I was sweating. My ears were ringing. And I was freaking out. I was like, yes? I said, yes. And I whispered it because I was so afraid. And then he said it again. Do you want Prabhu or Mahaprabhu? And then stronger, I just said, Mahaprabhu. And then Gurudev smiled and he said, thank you. And then he walked in his room and shut the door. I was freaked out. I thought, oh my God, I just gave away my husband. And, you know, it was really shocking for me because, yeah, Srila Gurudev the next, because I looked at Madhav Maharaj, I'm like, Naveen Krishna Prabhu, I'm like, Naveen Krishna Prabhu. And he's like, bring him tomorrow, Gurudev will do. And then he went in the room. But then it was years later, we were singing Amito Gangal, Krishna, Krishna Boli, Dai Tava Pache Pache. We were singing this bhajan, Oh Hey Vaishnav Thakur. And when that part of the bhajan came into my heart, I was singing it. And I realized, no, I'm not running after my Gurudev or the Vaishnava saying, you have Krishna. You can give me Krishna. So I'm running after you, begging, please give me Krishna. That was not happening. My Gurudev was standing in front of me, offering me, do you want Mahaprabhu? Do you want Krishna? I can give him to you. Or do you want Prabhu? Blood and pus and stool and urine and bone and marrow and all of these things. Do you want this? Or do you want Mahaprabhu? And honestly, I wanted blood and pus and stool and all this bag of stuff. I wanted Prabhu, and I wanted Mahaprabhu, and I wanted my lipstick and everything else in the world, and I wanted Bhakti Bhav and friend. And it really shocked me because I remember Gurudev saying, why is bhakti so rare? And then he said, because we really don't want it. We have desires for so many other things. And the more subtle they become, the deeper they are. And it really is. I want name and fame. I want people to glorify me, to look up to me, to think I'm grand. Even in school, it begins in school. Oh, this one got an award for getting the best on the spelling bee. This one got the Bhakti Vedanta School Award for learning so many shlokas. See, look at that.
And the medal. I got the medal.
Pratishtha. This kind of thing. So it becomes finer and finer, but we don't want to let these things go. And Sri Guru is standing in front of us. I'm here and I can give you Krishna. Do you want it? And my true answer was no. That was the true core of my heart. No, I'm afraid. I'm afraid to accept Mahaprabhu in my life. I feel more content with Prabhu and everything else, and you can give me Mahaprabhu. So it's kind of that same thing I was saying, having our feet in two boats. In one way, we're surrendering, and in another way, we're saying, no way am I surrendering. Because we think that we are so important and that everything is dependent on us. So this was such a lesson for me that afterwards, when Srila Gurudev had entered into Samadhi, where he had gone from our manifest vision, when I was realizing this, Sri Guru was standing in front of me, offering me Mahaprabhu, and I was scared out of my mind, and I only gave lip service. My heart was saying no. My mind even was saying no. I don't want Mahaprabhu over Kishori Mohan. No, I don't want to make that exchange. But because I at least gave lip service, it was kind of like Putana. I gave something, some kind of facade of something, and Gurudev gave me Mahaprabhu and let me keep Prabhu. So the reason I'm telling this is because Gurudev would work with what he had. Yes, I'm attached to my lipstick, or I'm attached to my husband, or I'm attached to whatever material thing I have. But there's one little spark in me that wants to be utilized in your service, Gurudev. So Gurudev will grab that and he will create a fire with that spark. So Gurudev didn't bar anyone from seva. He never stopped anyone. Whatever anyone could do, he was willing to work with that. If someone wasn't able to give up everything and become a brahmachari and live in the mat, no harm. Where you are right now, I can utilize what potentials you have, even materially, and utilize them in the service of Radha and Krishna. Utilize it in the service of the Holy Dham. And we may not understand what is happening to our hearts at the time. We think, oh, Gurudev is so darling, he's so sweet, he's so charming. Let me give this to him. And we know that it will be utilized in something good. But what he's doing is cleaning our heart of all of that dirtiness of attachment to our material possessions, to our wealth, to our name, to our fame, to our husbands, our wives, our children, whatever it may be. even our service, and even our relationship with Gurudev sometimes. It's all external. Look at me. I'm in the picture with Gurudev. You know, look at me. Here I am with Gurudev in this place. Oh, I'm the one that did this for Gurudev. Oh, do you see that sweater? I gave it to Gurudev. So everything is external. And Gurudev is accepting even those external pratishta offerings and trying to clean our hearts, trying to manufacture everything in such a way that it uplifts us on the path of bhakti. And at the same time, it's weeding out the sins from our heart. One time, we had come back from doing our world traveling Sankirtan, of traveling and preaching on behalf of our Srila Gurudev. And I would have a little bag that I made, and inside it would be our donation that we wanted to offer to Srila Gurudev, which was never that much, but he accepted it like it was the treasure of the universe. So one time we went with that treasure of the universe, and we went to give it to Gurudev, and I gave it to him. And then he just took the bag and he threw it. Yes, and then he took the bag after taking the money and he said, fill it. And that was the extent of our darshan. And I was like, what? You're not going to tell me how great we are, how we've done so much seva, how proud you are of us, how much you love us more than anyone else? You're not going to say anything?
We worked especially hard that year. It was a very intensive year-long tour.
And I was just kind of like, I don't believe this. And I was really feeling like, wow, I've given up everything for Gurudev. And he didn't even give me a moment. He just threw the bag back at me and said, fill it. And that was it after a year. So we went back to our room and I was feeling very upset. I was just like, you know, Gurudev, why? And then one of our god sisters, senior god sister Vaijanti Didi, she came into the room and I told her, I was honest with her. I told her I'm so upset. Gurudev did this and he didn't give us any pratishta for what we had done, but I didn't say pratishta. And she just smiled and she was listening to me. She said, imagine this. You know that Gurudev is writing all day. He's transcribing and writing and doing all kinds of seva all day. I said, yes, I know. She said, imagine if at the end of the day, after all day, he's been writing and transcribing the words of our Acharya. He sits back and he begins to pet his hand. Oh, my sweet, darling hand. You have done so much seva. Oh, you are the best. I'm so proud of you, my darling hand. She said, what would you think? And I just said, well, it would be weird. It would be embarrassing that. She said, if he were to massage your ego and start telling you how proud he was of you and how well you've done, then you should see that he is doing that very embarrassing thing of petting his own hand, massaging it and telling how good it is done. She said, because you are Gurudev's hand in the world, everything that you are doing is because of him. It's actually his mercy and his shakti. And immediately my world changed and I regretted my attitude and I repented in my heart. I thought, oh, I was thinking I'm the doer. I was thinking I'm special. I was thinking he should actually appreciate me for what I'm doing for him. And I was so completely confused, and it just in a moment reversed this mood in my heart. And then a few days later, Srila Gurudev walked past us and he said, you both come to my room not darshan. He said, come to my room at 9 o'clock. So then we went to his room and he gave us the most beautiful, exquisite darshan for like half an hour. And it was such a change. It was like he understood there was a change in my heart. And this is why association with senior Vaishnavas is so important. They can bring things into perspective for us. We might be caught up in the moment of not understanding what Gurudev is trying to teach us. And those senior Vaishnavas, Samrani Didi, Vaijanti Didi, Sripad Ban Maharaj, Madhavar, they can help us. They can help us adjust and understand, oh, this is what Gurudev is teaching me. Because I'm a baby, I don't know why I'm having to learn ABC. I already know how to say cat, bat, and ball. Why do I need to learn ABC? So we're ignorant, we don't know, but it's our senior God people who can help us understand what is being taught to us in the proper angle of vision. And it really adjusted me, and immediately we saw the result. And Gurudev welcomed that result. He reciprocated with it. Yes, you understand now. And then we had the most beautiful darshan. So I don't know if I can, I wanted to talk about fear, but I've been talking time.
Continue. I get class every single day for like, well, 2 hours at least. And I rarely get a chance to hear her speak, and she's on fire remembering Gurudev, so I want to hear, because she had a lot of personal interaction with him, and most of my interactions were also with her. But since Gurudev told me to follow her, she's received them and understood them in a much deeper way.
Well, I think that perhaps we should answer questions if there are questions now.
No, I think you should continue, Sudevi.
Un momento, per
We
favor.
didn't hear you.
Continue.
Okay.
Continue.
All right, so sorry. One of the things that I just wanted to bring up today was that a lot of times we think that we have to have strength on our own. Even though we sing it, I have no strength on my own. We sing this in Ekakiya Mar Nahi Pai Bal. I have no strength to chant. I have no strength. But yet, we think that everything is on our strength alone. And this morning I was just remembering, because I was contemplating fear of death, fear of what's going on in South Africa, fear of corona, fear of injections, fear of not injections, fear. And I see so much fear, especially if you go online, you see, people, don't get this, that, you're going to die in 2 years. And people are like, if you don't get this, you're going to die in 6 months. Everybody's fighting and everyone is in fear. And so I was just contemplating Gurudev, when I was remembering all of this chaotic fear going on. And it's in every state, in every country, fires and just madness, blood, fighting. So I was thinking about it, and I was just, it made me remember Srila Gurudev. And there was a time in my life when I was paralyzed by fear. And it started when I was in my ashram, when I was in Gurukul. I had, it's a long story, you don't want to hear it, believe me. But anyway, I started to have panic attacks. And since that time, when I was very young, I would have panic attacks, and they started increasing, and they became worse and worse. And when I didn't understand what the fear was coming up about, I didn't understand where that core kind of, I would just feel something in my stomach, and then fear would come out, and I wouldn't be able to function. I remember my sister once saying, she was crying, and she said, I'm afraid one day you're going to end up in a hospital because you're not in your mind properly. I was in so much fear. And so this went on through my life for so long. And then finally, one day I went to Srila Gurudev, and this is actually while I was with Gurudev as well. These fears were plaguing me, whether it was fear of death, whether it was fear of getting a passport, whether it was fear of malaria, going through immigration. I don't know, I just felt like I'm getting arrested, I'm guilty, I don't know why, but it's over for me and I'll be in jail for 30 years. So I had all of these fears going on. And so finally I couldn't take it anymore. I was taking medicine because I just couldn't function. So then I went to Srila Gurudev and I told him, Srila Gurudev, I have so much fear. I have so much fear in my heart that I can't function properly. And Gurudev was just looking at me, and it was almost kind of in a nonchalant way. He said, oh, you should know that I've now taken it. Don't let it back. And I was like, no, Gurudev, this is going to take years. We're going to have to do therapy together. I'm going to have to talk things out with you, to the little girl inside. I'm going to have to do all these things. And he just, it's done. Don't let it back in. And then he left his room, and I was like, I don't understand what just happened. But then when I would feel this fear in my heart, it would never go past this kind of mood of, oh, that's nothing. Gurudev took that. And I never had another panic attack. And the reason I'm trying to bring this up is because, especially right now in the world, there is so much fear. There is so much chaos. There is so much, this devotee says this, and it's devotees attacking one another over really, really trivial things. Really, all we need to do is depend on Guru and Krishna and do the needful, whatever side we're on. But the main thing is that we should have dependence in our heart that Guru and Krishna are always guiding us. And if they're guiding us in one way not to do something, then don't do it. And if they're guiding us in one way to do something, and do it. But the point is, we shouldn't be fighting with each other over things we have no control over. Gurudev was so easy going. Don't worry about that. Oh, you can't chant because you fall asleep? Then sleep and wake up and chant. But any devotee will come, no, you stay up and you put chili in your eyes and you chant. You have to do this, you have to do that. No one can tell us what to do and what not to do. Guru and Krishna have given us intelligence, and we should use that to the best of our ability. But always remember that we are continuously and fully dependent on our Gurudev, our Guru Varg, and Radha and Krishna. We can only do what we know to be the best, but we don't need to fight each other over these trivial things. Our sanghas, all of them, all Gaudiya Maths, all ISKCONs, even ISKCON within ISKCON, Gaudiya Maths within, we're all fighting. We're all fighting over different issues. If they're not Tattva Siddhanta, then they're just materialistic issues. And these are not necessary to be consumed by, to where we make enemies with each other. And I always remember, you know, how Gurudev just removed these things. He actually told different devotees, young girls, when any ghost is coming to attack you, you call my name, Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Maharaj, Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Maharaj. He said, and they will go, and they will not return. And they did that. I talked to those girls, and they said, yes, it worked, but they didn't come back. So if Gurudev is so easy with these subtle and physical things, then we should also have faith that on our spiritual path, that he is our maintainer. He is maintaining our ability to do bhakti. He is our maintainer in our ability to do our sadhan bhajan. He's giving us what is good, and he's removing all of those things that are bad. All we have to do is hold on tight. We began with this mood of loyalty. So I'd like to at least end my part here by saying that loyalty is everything. Gurudev used to say, like this bhajan sarvasvatomar, like a dog to its master. I am loyal to my Gurudev, to his moods, his words, his perceptions. And those are always in line with sadhu and shastra. Anyone can try to defy that Gurudev is not in line, and we can show them anywhere in Shastra where Gurudev is following in line purely. So I just wanted to mention that because we spend a lot of time on Facebook because of our seva. So I go on and we put our videos on and I check what our beautiful devotees are saying or what's happening. And I see devotees just attacking one another or subtly attacking their faith for not following what they follow. And it's just not necessary. All we need to do is hold tight to the feet of our Guru and Gauranga. And then when we do that, everything is in line. The moment we step out of that, everything is chaotic. So loyalty to the feet of our Guru and our Guru Varg, Krishna Mahaprabhu, this is everything for us.
Ishananda Prabhu,
Dhanraj.
you said that there are some questions.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to, following what Sudevi, that impassioned end from Sudevi, which I really appreciated. I wanted to comment, but my comment is also a question as well as a comment. When you were referring to the rancor and the communication going on between devotees about things that have nothing to do with Siddhanta, and that we shouldn't get distracted by this or allow it to affect our relationships. I'd like to add one more thing, is that even when the disagreement is about tattva or ras, or about the vani, then we surely also need to remember, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Sri Gauranga Samaj, that we are all one family, and that even when we have differences, the overarching thing should be to show respect and love and affection with one another, while at the same time remaining faithful to Vani and Siddhanta, and somehow get the best of both, where we're not sacrificing the truth of tattva on the altar of sentiment, but at the same time not losing the love and affection as a result of being overly fixated on tattva at the expense of love and affection.
John Bharati Maharaj, he actually addressed this, and it was in a different context, but it's the same idea. One devotee was asking, oh, we want to take the bhajans and kirtans and put them in our own language. What do you think about that? And first he said, you know, you have to be on the level of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Narottam Das Thakur to do that. But then he gave an example. He said one time, all the different Gaudiya Maths came together. He said some were having issues with each other. Some were, you know, having different points. You know, there were all kinds of different things going on. Different gurus, different ideas. And he said some were even fighting with each other. He said, but all came and assembled together. And even though there were so many differences, he said something amazing happened. Immediately when they began the Mangalacharna, Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudavan, he said, we were all one voice. We were all together in unison, and we were calling out together. So yes, this is true. I just want to make one small distinction. Offering our love and affection should not be given to this mortal plane. When it's on a mood of, I know that you're not meaning love, but love and affection is for Guru, for Krishna, and for those very exalted Vaishnavas that are bringing us toward that goal. But our sincere regard, our appreciation, and our honor can be offered to all. And this is to every jiva. And even though we may have differences, we can also have some regard. They are part and parcel of Krishna, and we should try not to offend any. But ultimately, because we are Baddha jivas, it may be that we offend without even knowing. But the point is that yes, we should have honor and regard for all. And there may be, like Gurudev said, if they're twisting the words of our Gurudev, if they're using the path of bhakti or Krishna for their sense gratification, or their Mayavadis, or the Babaji lines who don't accept Bhaktivinoda Thakur and our Guru Varg,
Not accept,
reject them, then what does Gurudev say? He said, okay, they're chanting, they're doing their thing, and Gurudev said, but pranam forever. So there are distinctions. It doesn't mean that we all come together and all join in unison in that way. For some, we still honor, we accept that yes, they're on the path and they're chanting, but if they don't accept our Bhaktivinoda Dhara, then we don't need to have that inclusiveness with them. Our Gurudevs have told us that it is a very fine line, like a razor. Bhakti's edge is like a razor. It is actually very broad at the same time, because it can accommodate for everything. It accommodates for anyone. Oh, if you're Christian, if you're Muslim, there's no restriction. But at the same time, we don't budge on our principles, on the siddhanta that has come from our Guru Varg and what they are giving. It is like a razor's edge. So there's both. There's honor, respect, and sometimes pranam forever. But love and affection, real love, like giving that part of yourself, should only be given, they've said, to the high-class Guru and Krishna. And Guru himself doesn't take it. He takes that love and affection and offers it to his beloved. So I know that's in essence what you were saying about love and affection, but I wanted to just clarify. They've actually used those words, love and affection, to be a little bit careful with. I know Gurudev would say we should have love and affection for each other, but really it means honor, because he has very clearly stated love and affection is only meant for Krishna. He said, you can't even say, I love you to Guru. You said
No, I think
this is.
I think that's a really good distinction between. Have you got me on or not? Yeah. I think
Cut it out.
actually you've made a really good distinction between love and affection on the one hand and respect on the other. I think that's a very interesting perspective. I like it very much. Okay,
That's
we're gonna have
Gurudev.
some. Yeah, well, we're gonna have some questions. I really want to keep it in the mood of the speaking and not go off meandering around a load of unrelated subject matters. Angela, you had a few questions. Could you prioritize the question you want to ask? And I don't need to speak on your behalf. You're very articulate and you're not shy. So
Hare Krishna. Please forgive me if I'm not articulate. It's still a tad early over here. But you were with Gurudev in many rounds, and so many people forget that he was above and beyond and why he deserves our love. Above the practical, the supernatural of what really explained how truly special he was. I understand there was the illogical, no way to explain, only in this mood of love and devotion, where that police file folder was found in his desk, where out of blind faith, he went on that train station and Tripurari was being Tiwariji, thank you. And for those that don't know these things, you'll find out about it soon enough. What is some supernatural moments, illogical moments that make no sense in this platform that you can share with us that reminded you this is not just some regular old Indian dude with blue eyes?
So, Srila Gurudev was quite miraculous, quite often. One for me is that in 1997, I believe, or just in the end of, no, it was early 97, because at the end of 96, right after Kartik, I sent Sudevi back to America and I went to work in Malaysia selling oil paintings. And so Gurudev came to Malaysia and Singapore in the early 97. And my father had told Gurudev that I was good at massage and that he should employ me massage seva. So at that time, I had received the opportunity to massage Srila Gurudev for the first time. And it was just myself and Prabhu. And so we were massaging Gurudev. And at that time, Srila Gurudev would be lying there every day while receiving massage. He would lie there, all ashtakams he'd be chanting under his breath with the Bande Rupa Sanatanu Pujago Shikito Palako. And he would do Lalita Ashtakam, Yamuna Ashtakam, Govardhana Ashtakam, Nandananda Ashtakam, Radhika, like under his breath, just chanting, completely absorbed. And whatever was happening externally, it was almost like he wasn't really aware. Except at this point in time, I was massaging Gurudev and suddenly I began to miss and remember my new wife. Gurudev had just done our marriage at the end of Kartik in 96. And she had been sent back to America and I was working in Malaysia. So as I was massaging Gurudev, suddenly I began to remember Sudevi. And he opened his eyes and he said, "Your wife is calling?" I said, "What?" He said, "Your wife is calling." And I just looked at him and I said, "I don't understand." I thought that he could, like, it's not possible. I don't understand what you're saying. And he rolled his eyes back and he just said, "Just now she came in your mind." And I was like, oh my God. Previous to that, I was just speaking with Pundarik Prabhu about all kinds of things. We were just talking and it wasn't really about bhakti. It was just having a discussion. And Gurudev had said, he opened his eyes and said, "Can you ever be quiet?" And I just shut up immediately. But then my mind was still running. And so as I'm massaging Gurudev, touching his body physically, still my mind and my heart were thousands of miles away with Sudevi. And he knew it. And he opened his eyes and he called me out. And I was thinking, oh my God, how did he know? Because he said, just now she came in from mine. And at that moment, I realized he knows my mind. He knows my heart. Of course, I knew it from other experiences as well, but that was very clear. One of those like super aha moments that he knows. And in that moment, he taught me how to zip my mind up as well. So from that time, whenever I would massage him, I would only chant Hare Krishna under my breath. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, and I would massage like that. Many years later, we were in Italy, and a very senior devotee also had the opportunity to come and massage Srila Gurudev. And I was massaging Gurudev's other foot, and this devotee was massaging. And Gurudev just looked at him and said, oh, you should learn from him. He was pointing to me. You should learn from him how to massage. And I realized what Gurudev was saying, that the mind, the heart, everything, it needs to be shut off and just focusing on Krishna, focusing on Guru, like that. So when Gurudev called me out at that moment, I realized he knows my mind and knows my heart, and he confirmed it as well. So that was one experience that I wanted to share. Share a magical.
It's a magical moment with another devotee. I mean, I have many magical moments, but this one came to mind.
How she wanted to do.
It is from me. I'm speaking.
Okay.
This devotee, okay, you want to hear from me. Let me think.
How about that deity one, Sudevi? Although Gurudev.
Wait, sorry.
We have to turn up the volume so we can.
Yeah.
What?
Although Gurudev wasn't physically present, that it's all orchestrated by him. That deity story with the donation is extraordinary.
Story of the donation.
Yeah,
the guy who had the dream of your deities, remember?
Oh, okay, that one's good. So one day, we were in Chicago, and sitting in Chicago, we were getting this storefront set up for the program we were about to give. And I had Radha Vinod Vihariji and Lord Gauranga there. And this man came in, and he had a baseball cap and jeans, walked in. And we had never met him before or seen him, but he walked in and he saw Thakurji, and I keep an eye out, what's going on with my Thakurji. So he just sat in front of them and he was just looking at them and looking at them. And then he got up and he left. And I was just, okay, that happened. So we did our program. And then the next night we were at another function where we were doing another program. And that man again showed up. I was on my way walking to the restroom, and he was walking toward me, and I recognized him. He had a baseball cap and jeans and a shirt. And he walked toward me and he said, those deities yesterday, were those yours? And I said, yes, they're my Thakurji. And he got tears in his eyes, and he pulled out this envelope, and he was crying, and he said, I had a dream of them. Like a week or so before, I had a dream about them. And he was crying, and he said, yeah, he said, it was them. And he gave me this envelope. He said, they told me to give you this. I don't know why, but this is the amount of money they told me to give you. And then he handed me the money, and it was in an envelope, so I didn't see it. And I said, well, can I give you some CDs or anything? He said, no, I'm a truck driver and I'm late. I have to go. So, thank you, accept it. And he left. And I didn't know if he was a devotee, if he was just some guy off the street, like, who is this? But he left. And I went into the restroom and I was like, usually I don't go, ooh, how much money is there? But because it was like Thakurji came to him and told him to give this, I wanted to know how much money did they tell him to give? So I opened it up and there was $650 exactly. And I was like, wow, that's the biggest donation we ever got. So then after the program, we were in the car and I said, Kishori, I told him this story of that man. And he's like, yeah, I remember him. And I said, well, he said that Thakurji told him to give us this money. So let's keep it aside because obviously we're going to need it. And so Kishori was like, yeah, okay, put it aside. So we didn't use it for petrol. We didn't use it for anything. We kept it. So then after a couple different places, we end up in Boston. We're in Massachusetts, and we're there and we're with Nimai Prabhu and Nimai Chaitanya and his family. So we're there with all the devotees and our car breaks down. And so we're like, oh no, what are we going to do? So Nimai Chaitanya Prabhu is like, okay, I'll get like, you know, a little collection going and see if we can get some money so that we can, you know, help you get your van fixed. So they came up with as much money as they could, and it was exactly $650. We were like, okay. So our car was ready to be fixed, and we sent it to the place. Finally, when we go and get the bill, Kishori, how much was it?
Oh, yes. How much, Yashoda?
I gotta unmute myself. Let me see. Could it possibly have been $650?
Well, Nimai and his community collected $650, and Krishna, Thakurji told this other devotee in Chicago to give $650.
Fantastic.
So
Beautiful.
the bill was exactly $1,300.
So, but to continue the story, it's very short. Then, after like 2 years, we were in Alachua, and devotees were asking questions about Thakurji. So I was telling them this miraculous story, and then how, you know, that we got our car fixed. It was that exact amount. We didn't have to spend 1 penny over. And as we were leaving the program that day, that man was just walked right into the temple in Alachua. And I was like, oh. So I was like, what are you doing here? And I was like, I just told this story. You know, I'm like, who are you?
Wow. I didn't know that part.
About him. And he started crying again. And he said, they told me. I said, well, let me tell you the rest of the story. And so then I told him that our car broke down and the devotees paid the other half. And it was exactly the amount we needed. And he was just astonished like we were. So that was something that was really amazing. And of course, because as we're traveling and preaching, it was only because of Gurudev, because of his name, because of his words, because of his potency, we were able to do all of that. So it's all infused with Gurudev. And this was another example for us of a miracle of Gurudev in our lives, showing us that if we just follow his order and inspire on his behalf, Krishna will take care of everything. Why? Because Gurudev said so. We might not be that person that is Sharanagat to Krishna and that he will run after us to take care of us. But our Gurudev gave his word to us. You will not need anything. Milk will come, or money will come from the sky like milk if you follow my order. So because Gurudev said it, Krishna has to make it true. Not because of us, but because of Gurudev. So this is a miracle of Gurudev. Our whole lives, Anjali, from start to finish, especially from the moment we met our Gurudev, is a miracle. If I tell you every day of my life, it's another example of the miracle that Gurudev is performing continuously. And I'm not exaggerating.
Well,
Sudevi,
Gurudev gave the order to travel and to do our seva, and he ordered us not to have jobs in the world, and he ordered us to not have any like stability or anything, and just to continue traveling and preaching. And we were doing that for all of these years until the lockdown, without any source of income, without any jobs, 3 people traveling around the world, and somehow by Gurudev's mercy we were able to survive and maintain. And it's not normally possible that someone can not
We
work.
have so many miracles along the way. So many.
You showed up. What do you want to say?
Yeah, just a couple of things. Firstly, because I want to extend that story. I've told that story many times, but I didn't know the second part about the Alachua bit. How much time went on? How much time elapsed between the donation?
2 years.
2 years. Wow,
Well,
that's
between the donation and Boston?
No, Alacho, when he walked into the temple.
Yeah, it
2
was
years.
2 years. His name is Jayadev. Very nice devotee.
That's incredible. Okay, we have another question. Now, this other question is from Raktambra Dasa from Belgium. She hasn't got a microphone, and I'm actually going to expand on the question. So the first point to put on to put into the discussion is there's often a lot of rancor and wrangling that goes on in the Sangha about Siddhantic disputes, whether it's the fall of the jiva from the sky, from the spiritual world, whether it's Prabhupada in Sakyaras or Madhurya Ras, whether it's Swarupa the jiva. So that's the first thing to put on the table. The second thing to put on the table is you referred to a very nice distinction Gurudev made between love and affection and respect. We have love and affection for the great Mahabhagavats and God, and we have respect for one another. But there's also and forgive me, Didi, because I'm sort of embellishing your question. There's something between respect and love and affection for people we're close to. Like, I have more than just respect for you guys, and I don't know what to call that in terms of Gurudev's explanation. So when these disputes come up now, in the case of Didi, she particularly wanted to know in relation to Prabhupada and the Sakyaras issue, and of course we don't want to get absorbed in that Siddhantic debate. It's more of a question of behavior when these disputes happen. If we have a friend or someone with whom we are more than quite close to, and we end up on different sides of the Siddhantic debate. They think A, I think B, I think my position's Gurudev's position, they think whatever they think. At that point, should we be saying, pranams and keep a distance? Or what's the line, particularly with the Sakyaras issue, but generally, what's the line at which we walk away versus continue to engage with that person in more than just pranams?
That's a loaded question. As disciples of Sri Guru, it is the imperative duty and the meaning of disciple to accept the discipline. That means the teachings, instructions, the moods, the conceptions that Sri Gurudev is giving. Srila Gurudeva explained, if you are not doing so, then what is the meaning of being under guidance? There's no meaning to it whatsoever. Since the primary duty of the disciple is to develop conviction, nishtha, in the lotus feet of Sri Gurudeva, then it is also imperative for the disciple to adhere to and to associate with those persons who will help not only to maintain that conviction, but also to increase that conviction. Our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti-Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj explained that what is the function even of Shiksha Guru? It is to increase one's faith in their Diksha Guru. And if they fail to do so, he says that they're not even a Vaishnava. And he says even more harsh things. So what to speak of that? Among our own God brother, God sister relationships, the relationships should be based on adherence to our Ishta. And that means Krishna, Gauranga, Nityananda Prabhu, our Gurudev, our Guru Varga. Without that, then what is the relationship? It's actually mundane. And that in itself will cause us to lose our conviction in the lotus feet, meaning in the teachings, in the moods, in the conceptions of Sri Guru, to compromise. Okay, well, we can agree to disagree. And that's usually what people say. But that just means that actually I'm putting down my conviction in Gurudev to please the senses of the people of this world. And so from that, no conviction, no nishtha will develop. And so like-minded association is essential. No, I can tell her, you just.
Today I was listening to the lecture of Srila Gurudeva, and he started speaking about Draupadi, the wife of the 5 Pandavas. So this is before she was their wife. Gurudeva was saying, why did he call her Sakhi? Outside of Vrindavan, no one, not the wives of Krishna, not anyone, no other was called Sakhi other than Draupadi. And Gurudev said, why? And then he gave this beautiful example of why. He said, when her Swayamvar, her marriage ceremony was taking place. Now the Swayamvar is a ceremony that takes place before the wedding, if the man is eligible. So there was a whole system put up that a Kshatriya or a warrior had to go through to win Draupadi's hand. I'm not going to go into that because that's not what this is about. But anyway, so first, all these princes were coming up and trying to shoot this arrow, looking into this pot of oil, trying to shoot this arrow on the ceiling. So then finally, Duryodhana came. He wanted to win her hand. She was so beautiful. She stopped him. No, not you. You can't do it. She said, I'm not like a slave to just be put into anyone's home. She said, I have a right to choose who I want to win my hand, not you. So Duryodhana became angry, sat down. The next person that came, Gurudev said, was Karna. Anyway, Karna came and she stopped him. No, stop, not you. You are less than your eligibility is less and less. You cannot go for my hand. And Gurudev said, she made it very clear that only someone who is devoted to Krishna is allowed to win her hand in marriage. So her prerequisite, there were all these Kshatriyas, there were so many powerful, strong, even very, they followed all kinds of rules and regulations. They gave in charity. Duryodhana would give anything in charity. Karna cut off his own armor giving in charity. But yet she was saying, unless they are inclined to love Krishna, then they are not allowed to shoot and to try to win me as their wife. So Gurudev said, Krishna hearing this became so happy, so overwhelmed, and he became captured by this, that at that moment she became his Sakhi. And she was the only one who called Sakhi outside of Braj.
Because of her exclusiveness.
So can I, one second.
So that she wouldn't accept anyone in her life who was not favorable to developing that mood of love and affection to Krishna. Yes?
Okay, so you're giving a fairly intense example of marriage, which is very, very deep in association. But we're faced with a situation, again, I'm sort of building on Didi's question, where we need to be cooperating more. It's clear that in the worldwide Vaishnava movement, there's not enough cooperation. There's too much discord, not enough cooperation. And that's not to say that we should become something monolithic. Diversity is beautiful. Guru is both Akhanda and specialized. But in answering the question, particularly what you said, Kishori, is how do you reconcile what you just said with the fact that if I said to Gurudev, who do you think Mahaprabhu is? Is he God? Gurudev would say, yes, of course he's God, right? But if you read Sri Gauranga Samaj, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, you can be a member of the same society, you who believe that Mahaprabhu is God can be a member of the same society that you who don't actually believe that Mahaprabhu is God, you just believe he's a social reformer and a devotee. And they can both be a member of the same society. So how do you reconcile what you just said with what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says?
One is a stepping stone into understanding who Mahaprabhu is. And once they're involved in the society and they're hearing from high-class Vaishnavas, automatically they'll come to the proper conception. But if someone is hearing from the high-class Vaishnava the same point again and again and again, and Gurudev is not making these other points, but he's giving the Siddhanta and giving Praman, evidence for it. And then when Gurudev is no longer physically present, they're changing his Siddhanta. That's very different than welcoming someone in to help them to better understand who Mahaprabhu is.
Okay.
So I'll let him.
No,
I'll let
so
that
one
part.
Not
second.
just
One
are
second.
they accepting
Kishori,
the points,
Kishori,
but on behalf of Gurudev, on his order, preaching what he gave and preached for years, year after year after year. And then after Gurudev's departure, changing the teachings and then trying to superimpose something new upon Gurudev, which is not
Very
in line.
different
So they're
example.
very, one of
No,
the
that's a
things
great.
that you mentioned about this Guranga Samaj or whatever, if someone has some, maybe not a complete understanding, it doesn't mean that they're disrespectful. There is a superior understanding and there is an inferior understanding. And that's a difference. So you can say there's the difference, you know, Uttam Vaishnavas are there, Madhyam Vaishnavas, Kanishta Vaishnavas.
But
No, but Kanishta Vaishnavas won't understand as much. It doesn't mean there's not room to grow. There's a big difference between throwing out or changing or twisting or rejecting the teachings of Gurudev and the high-class Vaishnavas versus growing to understand and realize that. And when those kind of conflicts come into play, to pretend that everything is just okay, this is not the teachings or the example that our Gurudev, that our Srila Prabhupada, that our Param Gurudev, that our Guru Varga have given us, including Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
they're all accommodating, but they're very fixed.
Our Param Gurudev gave the example as Acharya of taking them to task for it. Okay, let's prove it in court. If I had enough money, I would do just the same, although I'm not qualified, but sure, okay, let's take it to court. Prove that this is what my Gurudev was not saying, because he said it 1,000 times. And is it wrong to do so? Our Guru Varga have done this. So this does not mean that they're the enemy, but it means that we need to keep the Siddhanta intact. Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj said, we can tolerate anything, but we cannot tolerate compromises on Siddhanta. And our Srila Gurudev said the same thing. Once someone kind of challenged, or apparently externally, it seemed that he was challenging what Gurudev was teaching, and it was a senior Vaishnava. The next day, Srila Gurudev spoke to a small group of devotees. He said, you should be very careful. Even if any other Mahabhagavat is telling something which is even slightly different from what your Gurudev is telling, he said, you must reconcile it immediately, or else the seed of doubt will go into you. Very quickly, it will become like a big tree, and then everything will become destroyed. That means the backbone of bhakti or Guru Nishta will be destroyed if someone is telling some conception that is different. And so there are those who claim that, well, I'm above that. And there are some who are above that and beyond that. And then there are others who need to adhere very carefully to the teachings of Sri Gurudev. If we basically open the door for any conception or misconception or other conception to enter, and we pretend that everything is okay, then it begs the question why our, I hope I said that right, why our Guru Parampara made any distinguishing between us and the Sahajya Babajis, you can say, who are also chanting Hare Krishna following Rupa Goswami. The only difference is that they don't know how to wash their bottoms properly and they have 5 widows that they enjoy with. But otherwise, what's the difference? No, but what I'm saying is, why do we make a distinguishment between these two? We keep a very, very strong separation, and there's a reason for that.
Right.
It's the micro variations of differences, the teachings, the moves, the conceptions. Hold on, and the respect toward our Guru Varga, which can actually make us lose faith in our own Gurudev and our own Guru Varga, which we have seen time and time again. Yes.
So in asking the question, there was never any never any flavor of compromising the Siddhanta or pretending the Siddhanta is different or pretending everything's okay. The question is levels of association, and Sudevi made a very interesting point reconciling Srila Gauranga Samaj with what I was saying by saying, well, it's a process it's a gradual process. Somebody comes into the society and you'd hope after a while they'll get the conceptions and therefore there's a process of evolution. But let's look at a practical example. Let's pretend that, I mean, on the Swarupa Jiva, you and I were on exactly the same page, but let's just pretend I went off course and I suddenly got misconceptions. how long would you give me? Would you give me a month, 2 months, 6 months? When would you walk away from your relationship with me as a result of me deviating sedantically? To give a visceral example, how much time would I have?
You're asking me a very strong question. I'll have to put it into the words that we discussed recently with some of our other friends. Sudevi and I made a very strong, we had a very strong understanding from the beginning of our relationship, especially from the time we came to Gurudev, that basically our relationship with each other is based on the depth of adherence to the teachings of our Gurudev. And it's Gurudev or not. And so for us, that was our conviction. For my relationship with anyone, I would endeavor to make that adjustment, means try to convince. And that would include you as well, because you asked it. I first established this as because you know that she's my most significant person in my life. We've been married for 27 years. And so still, that is our conviction. So if, for example, you were in a state of, I wouldn't say disagreement, but maybe trying to bring other understandings into it, I would continue trying to discuss it. But if the conception came that was opposite to that of what my Gurudev is preaching, and it created a conflict, then I would naturally have to distance myself.
Actually, I just want to say one thing here, if it's okay, and that is that this did happen. We had a friend.
Many.
I'm talking about one. We had a friend, and we were supposed to visit them for lunch. And they wrote us and said, you know, I have a lot of respect for the person who's speaking opposite of what Gurudev spoke. So I want to make sure you don't come and say anything that might lessen my faith in this person. And Kishori Mohan, they're a disciple of Gurudev. So Kishori Mohan Prabhu said, I would never try to say anything that our Gurudev has spoken. I will only speak the things. What did you say?
I said, I promise you, I will not speak anything different than what our Srila Gurudev has spoken. But to request me not to speak what my Gurudev has spoken, I cannot promise you that, because otherwise the conversation would be mundane and pointless.
And then they told us, then it's better you don't come. So it's not necessarily that we are cutting relationships with people. We're adhering to our Gurudev and Guru Varg. It's not just Gurudev. We're taking Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And with Srila Prabhupada's Swarup, what do we know? And what do those people know? I don't think they know what Gurudev knows. I have faith that Gurudev knows. So if Gurudev gave another conception on the Swarup of the Jiva or on Srila Prabhupada's Swarup, then I would say, okay, I have to adjust. I have to maybe reconcile things. But he never did. So for me, there's nothing to reconcile. He made it very, very clear. So we want to keep those teachings pristine. He gave Param Gurudev's biography and said, everything is there. All Tattva Siddhanta is there. If all other books were unmanifest of their own accord, and only that book was left, nothing would be lost to the world, which means that that conception of Guru Tattva is the one that Gurudev absolutely was speaking. So as his disciples, it is our right, it is our duty, our prerogative, and our great happiness to adhere, because it is also based on Sadhu and Shastra. So yes, it might seem fanatic. It's not that we're saying, I'm not going to be your friend. But when somebody is going actually saying we are the real followers of Gurudev, and we have understood that Gurudev was doing some kind of preaching tactic, and actually he meant this. But while Gurudev was present, none of them told any of that. You know, when Gurudev isn't here, then his teachings are being dissected, picked apart, and even just thrown to the wind. So somebody has to like the cow that won't move when it's being pulled. No, I'm not going to move. This is what Gurudev wanted us to learn. He was adamant about it. And that doesn't mean we hate anyone else. Why we are so strong on it with our God brothers is because, or sisters, is because they are the ones, they were taught by Gurudev this. If anyone outside the Sangha says Prabhupada is the Saka and the Swarupa, the Jiva is this, and whatever they want, good.
That's what
Let
Gurudev said.
Wait,
I have no problem with you believing whatever you want to believe, but I request you not to try to change my opinion of this and not to discuss it with me anymore, because I have conviction in my position. So you can believe whatever you want.
You know, we study a lot. We're not just only
Hold on,
listening
guys,
to the
guys.
lectures of Gurudev and then saying, okay, this is everything. We're also reading and searching and studying, and you know, we're not just, okay, Gurudev said this, I'm a robot. We're searching and researching. That's what Gurudev has engaged us in with our lives. So it's not, okay, you're stopping.
Yeah, I just want to make the point, because I felt that you were getting.
1 second, we can't hear you. 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to conclude a point here, because I felt that I thought you gave great answers, by the way, and you clarified many things for me. But then the answers started getting into almost a justification for how you behave. The question that was coming from me wasn't in any way questioning what you do. It was actually more from a personal point of view that I don't want to undermine my bhakti, undermine my faith through perhaps my sentimental interpretation of instructions. And therefore, I'm trying to get the right balance between Siddhantic loyalty and love, affection, respect. And I'm trying to find that balance. So actually, it was more of a critique of myself, wanting some guidance as to how to calibrate that and where the knife should cut, as opposed to me actually questioning everything you guys do. I think you do a wonderful job, and I just want to make that really clear.
Regarding this conception, because we hear about what Gurudev would say, you know, with love and affection. And by studying Gurudev, hearing Gurudev, and also witnessing Gurudev, also seeing our acharyas and shastra and sadhu, what is love and affection, really? Many devotees have the concept that it means that my love and affection is to everyone. But as we have seen with our 6 Goswamis, why were they dear to everyone? They were completely free from enmity, free from envy. But why? Because they're always remembering Krishna, always serving Krishna. They're watering the root of the tree. And because their love is going to Krishna, automatically that love is going to everyone else. But when we try to give love here and there without focusing on the root, without putting the food in the stomach, then the whole body won't be nourished. We might put some cream on the outside and it will look plump for a little bit, but without proper nourishment, then the body won't function properly. So our Gurudev, our sadhus, our shastras, they've explained with love and affection, and some or many, including myself at certain times, have taken it to mean that I just have to love everybody in terms of accepting everything and accepting whatever, and that's my expression of love. But studying more deeply, I've understood that actually, even Gurudev, like she said, Gurudev said, you can't even say to Gurudev, I love you. Love is not for Gurudev, love is for Krishna. So if we give our love to the right place, then with love and affection, we will be able to connect to everyone. And that's why we see people like Gurudev, people like Prabhupada, people like our Guru Varga, our 6 Goswamis. When anyone came near them, they felt that love, and everyone felt that love because their love was properly placed. If we try to individually give love to every leaf on that plant, we might miss the point of watering the root. And so my understanding of this, and I'm saying my understanding intentionally, of this statement with love and affection doesn't mean satisfying the material mindsets of the people of this world, including those of the devotees, but rather trying to satisfy Gurudev. He said, first and foremost, apply Anyavilashita Shunyam and Anukulyasa Sankalpa at the feet of Gurudev. And then from there to Radha and Krishna. So trying to please Gurudev means, what would I do? What would I speak? what moods and conceptions would I represent if Gurudev were sitting right next to me and asked me to share? And how would I be in this way? And we've seen so many times how there needs to be a distance if there's some mood which is antagonistic to or opposite to that of Gurudev. It doesn't mean that that distance cannot come close again. But for those who are endeavoring to hold tight to the feet of Gurudev, I was just reading before this program from Gurudev's Hair Panchami, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Krishna Sangita, and the commentaries in there. There was a discussion between Swarup Damodar Goswami in relation to associating with the Mayavadi conception. And they were saying that even a great, highly elevated person who entertains these conceptions will be pulled from their inclination to bhakti, and they will lose everything. All of their inclination of bhakti will be destroyed. Oi sarvanash. And so it's so refined and so careful. Many persons think, oh, we have to spread love, so just love everyone and compromise and accept everything. But then that can actually negatively impact on us and our relationship with Gurudev. And if Guru Nishta is the backbone of bhakti, if we're truly hoping to acquire that or to awaken that or develop that, then always placing Gurudev in the core or next to us, then what will I speak? What will I say? What will I represent? How will my behavior be? And if it's necessary, Gurudev would say, if they're doing something wrong, don't look at them and don't even think about them. Because if you're meditating on it, then it can also come back to us. But for myself, I'm weak. I have no strength on my own, and my Gurudev is everything. So then I have to hold on as tight as I can. Like he told Sudevi, we were at the airport. Can you tell it?
I wanted to,
Okay.
yeah.
Not too much more. We're running out of time. But
What did you say?
we need to bring it to a close.
Can I just end with one thing really quick then?
Yeah, sure.
Srila Gurudev was asked, oh, Gurudev, I want to, help build bridges and, bring these different groups together, this, that. And Gurudev started laughing. And he said, oh, you cannot do it. He said, even in Goloka Vrindavan, there are different camps and different groups. So why not even here? He's like, it's impossible to do. So I think that the main thing is if we can come together on the basis of the words and the conceptions and the moods of our Gurudev and Guruvar from Bhaktivinoda Dhara, then we have something in common. And if it's not there, then what do we have in common if they're actually neglecting or rejecting the words and the conceptions of our Gurudev? So it's not to say that we would say, hey, you can't come into Kirtan, but personally, I may not like to hear that person's lecture on what is opposite of what my Gurudev for all of his preaching was preaching.
Sure.
So I think we can have some discrimination. It doesn't mean that we're judging them and saying they're bad people, but we must accept what is favorable and reject what is unfavorable. That's also part of our process.
Fantastic. Well, we've thank you, guys. We
No, I can't hear you. Sorry, no.
We're I think this Q&A, it's inspired me to have a whole session on it, maybe 2 sessions on holistic bhakti, because I think it would be a tremendous debate. So I'm going to bring it to a close. We're going to do an announcement in a moment and then close the program. I wanted to first I want to thank you, and then I want to do the announcement, and then could you do a little bhajan to exit afterwards at the end? Is that possible?
Yes,
So,
of course.
It's been a fantastic, and even beyond my expectations, which were high, to be honest, of your Pushpanjali today. You both articulate Gurudev and transmit his mood so beautifully. There were so many wonderful instructions, how to keep it real and not artificial, how to have clear intentions and not be ritualistic, how Gurudev is so magical in our lives. And more than anything else, I think when we listen to people talking, we may not retain so much of what someone says, but we retain more about how they're being, who they are. and your sweetness combined with your ferocity is a beautiful combination. And I think that is very much in keeping with Gurudev. He was sweet and fierce. And I think you're sweet and fierce, like Prabhupada said, be like a British general and be like a Bengali mother. So I think you're doing that really well. Thank you so much.